Chicago homeowners are facing a record property tax increase to help fill a massive budget hole that the mayor's progressive policies helped create. Kelly Saberi is live in the Windy City with much more on this. Hey, Kelly.
Hi, Dagan. Residents of Cook County, home to Chicago, received their property tax assessments this past week. Many jaw-dropped at the assessed value changes, with some residents seeing 15 to 151% increases. This led to one community, North Lawndale, to quite literally burn their property taxes in a community bonfire Saturday night. The group discussed solutions like emulating California's Prop 13, limiting property taxes to 1% of assessed value while capping annual increases at 2%.
I'm just not buying it. What's going on downtown has an impact. With the vacancies downtown has an impact on the region, but I think they're hitting the people who are least able to pay for appeals.
The county treasurer confirming this notion, saying in a press release, when the Loop gets a cold, the rest of the city gets pneumonia. The Loop is the downtown area. This comes as Mayor Brandon Johnson is trying to get his $16.6 billion city budget over the finish line. Johnson says if the wealthiest of Chicago don't pay up, he'll increase property tax rates. That's an increase he initially said he would not use.
It's clear here we're either going to cut services and lay people off and raise property taxes, or we're going to make sure that those with means who can actually afford it put more skin in the game.
The mayor announced the corporate head tax that we've been talking about as a strategy to offset raising property taxes. That's a $21 per employee charge. But after pushback from the public, Johnson increased the size of the companies that will fall under this possible tax from 100 employees to 200. Back to you, Dagan.
Thank you so much, Kelly Saberi. Who wants it? Who wants to tell him? Who wants to tell him?
No, look, I don't like cities to burn. We've talked about this. But Dagan, you mentioned this when you were talking about JP Morgan, who just built their headquarters here and is now facing a Mamdani. They want to tax, whether it's New York or Chicago, all these corporations. It is now up to the corporations to leave and let's watch this experiment implode, or stay and face the tax hike. I want to see the result of this experiment. What is it, 2 years from now? I don't know if companies are going to leave. They may bet that there'll be a new administration in charge in a couple years, and they don't want to uproot their headquarters. But it is up to them to finally figure out what side are they on so that they can hire employees in New York and Chicago or in a low corporate tax state.
Well, instead of making choices, what they're doing is kicking the ball down the road. They're telling Mamdani, we love you, welcome, great to have you here. And, you know, in the back rooms, they're like, what is he doing? We're scared to, I mean, like they're speaking out of both sides of their mouth is what we're seeing. Look, the problem with property taxes is national. We've seen property taxes rise 27% in the 5 years ended in 2024. It's something everybody's angry about, not just Chicago. But let me tell you, to your point, blue cities, pick up and go, everybody. I mean, it only gets worse from here. The fewer people you have in that tax base, the more people who stay there have to pay.
It's more like his governing style seems to be make Chicago Detroit. Because this is what starts the downward spiral of driving your remaining tax base away out to parts unknown.
Chicago's not far from here. Why can't we look at that as an example of why these kinds of policies are not going to work here? I mean, I know we were talking about earlier, Dagan, that person who's really angry and sort of just needs to see it for themselves. But this is, you know, we're not talking about Venezuela. We're talking about another United States state and city that are burning under these kinds of policies. Like, isn't that close to home enough?
You know, he said he wasn't going to raise property taxes, right? That was one of like his promises that he wasn't going to do that. Do you notice how quickly all those promises fade away? So whatever this, what's her name, Katie Wilson in Seattle and Zohran Mamdani are saying they're not going to let happen in New York, almost a guarantee that within 2 years, that's going to happen. And what they're going to try to do is blame it on the billionaires. Well, right. if the people with means would just pay up, I wouldn't have to do this to you. No. Socialists hold the people who voted for them hostage until they get the rich that they purport to go after to do the thing they want, and the rich are gone. And it's the people that the socialists said they represented who are stuck there paying higher taxes.
Here's the thing.
All the time.
Mamdani might be, having a different relationship with Governor Hochul, or she may be looking at this a little bit differently, as we pointed out before. But supposedly he wants to go see President Trump. And Trump has said he'll do his best. He said, we'll work something out to get him to go to the White House. But what are they going to talk about at the White House? The only reason he would go see the president is because he's scared, that he'll lose his federal funding. So I have a feeling he'll be in there begging for money to be able to do stuff like we're seeing happening in Chicago. I don't believe the president's going to allow that or let it happen. He cares about the city. He said that over and over again, but he's going to have to walk in there with his little tail between his legs.
You know what? I'm going to do a little discussion on that very thing in the next block. You just teased me perfectly for that.
Deep tease.
We're all going to opine on that very issue.
I'm going to end it there.